Hi guys, it's me, Melanie Schurr. Today I wanted to talk to you about being fair with our exes, whether they be ex-husband or wives, or boyfriends, girlfriends, or friends, platonic friends. Um, Being fair with them, because so many times, I can't count the number of times I've heard people trash their ex, and that's all they do is just trash him. He was a narcissist, he was an abusive, and he was a jerk, he was a total jerk, and an alcoholic, and this and that, and but the problem is, what they don't see, by constantly blaming that person, even though they might be the cause of the disintegration of the relationship. A relationship is about two people. It's not just about them. You're in it too. And you have to realize you can't keep pointing a finger at the other person saying, they did this, you did that, you did that. Well, what about, being an adult is about taking responsibility for your own life, and, and your own choices. And at some point, you need to face the music and realize and be accountable and realize, yes, there was unacceptable things happening, and I tolerated it. Now, that's not blaming you, it's just taking accountability for the fact that you realize that there was some unacceptable behaviors, but you chose to stay regardless. Doesn't mean your reasons for staying weren't legitimate. When you don't want to just, especially when you're married, you don't want to just trash something away immediately. So these bad behaviors, they start chipping away at the foundation of a relationship, and you think it can tolerate one more piece more missing, another piece missing. Before you know it, the whole thing topples. But before it does, we make excuses, we justify, and try to legitimize our reasons for tolerating. And like I said, it doesn't mean that it's not legitimate. I get it. But if you want to move on from the past, you have to be truthful with it and your part in it. Because I can say in a past relationship of mine, I can't just blame the person. Yeah, I can say, yeah, he was a narcissist and an alcoholic, and I didn't know it, and hid stuff from me, who he really was. Didn't realize until we actually moved in together. It was the first time I ever moved in with somebody other than my ex-husband, and at that point in time, and I just had no clue. And if a person doesn't show you their truthful self at the beginning when you're dating, well, when you move in, oh, it's an eye-opener. And I had to, at some point, I had to face the fact, you know what, Melanie, yes, all these things might be true of him. He might be a jerk, might be a narcissist, blah, blah, blah. But you, Melanie, you jumped into this too quick. It was like a month and a half after I divorced. I didn't realize I was on the rebound. I was still hurting. Here's somebody showing me attention and affection, and I had to take responsibility for that. I jumped into it too quick. I never should have moved in with him, and huge mistake. We should have just dated and taken it slow. I have control over my own self. Just because we're women doesn't mean the guy, puts a leash around us and drags us through the relationship, even in ways we might not want to go. We make the choice. We made that choice to move in with that person, to get involved with that person, to keep on being involved with that person, to tolerate unacceptable behaviors. So at some point, we have to accept responsibility for those choices of ours that might not have been the best choices. And it's okay. We all make mistakes. I've made peace with that. I shouldn't have done that. I can see where I contributed to, more pain and suffering, we'll say, than it needed to last. Because if things would have been done right, we would have dated for a while. Eventually, I would hope that, I would have seen these, red flags, and then not moved in together, not gotten as close. But, woulda, shoulda, coulda, So, but in order to get to a point of forgiveness and moving on, and just so you can move on and have peace of mind with your own self and your own life, you got to be able to see realistically and fairly that we play parts in these relationships too. And also about the trashing our exes, we need to be fair about that, because, like I said, I've heard so many people do this. My ex was psycho. She was a crazy bitch, and she was jealous, and she was this and that, and psycho, and whatever. It's like people listen. Here's what's going on. People hear you, they listen, but in their head they're thinking, idiot, then why did you stay with her if she was like that? Or are you an idiot too? Are you a psycho too? So, and that goes for guys too, well, females too, I should say. Females who trash their exes, and he was a narcissist and an abuser and a cheat and this and that. Okay, well, you're the one who picked him and chose to stay with him, so take some accountability. And what I'm saying about fairness is we do have to be fair. We can't just focus on one side of somebody, because obviously there was something that caused you to want to date that person, to stay with that person, to possibly move in with that person, to possibly marry that person. Obviously, you saw some sort of good, unless you're, a sadist, and you like, putting yourself through needless pain. But obviously, you saw some good about that person. So, you have to accept the sour with the sweet, unfortunately, if you want to be realistic, So, even when I discuss my ex-husband, and he's not the narcissist I was talking about, even though the relationship ended due to infidelity, discovering infidelity, I still have to, I can't trash him. I have to be realistic and say, yes, he did that, and that was the ultimate, that is what ultimately caused the demise of our 25-year marriage. That was my choice, because I know myself, and I just knew that once that trust was broken, for me, I do believe infidelity can be fixed. I believe any problem can be fixed in a marriage when both want to fix it, and they're really willing to put forth that effort. But I know myself, and I know I would never forget. That would always be in the back of my mind, and it would just cause too much. And at the beginning of, before we married, when we did discuss marriage, I did say, and I say this in every relationship I've been in, and it hasn't been that much, just a couple relationships I've been in, I say, if you ever hit me, and if you ever cheat on me, I'm out of here. No questions asked. Boom, done. It's done. And so he knew that. My ex-husband knew that. And yet he still chose the path that he went down. So that told me that, what? He was willing to take a risk with our relationship. So even though I know that he loved me, it wasn't the quality of love, the level of love, that high quality level that I myself need, to where the person looks at you and cares for you as ardently as they would their own self. He knew it would hurt me, it would devastate me, that it could destroy us, and yet he took that chance for someone else. So, like I said, so I knew, for me, divorce was the right decision. Well, anyway, but I have to look at things realistically. I can't, at the beginning when you have all sorts of anger in you and everything, and that's all you're doing is rattling off the person's faults, okay, I get it, you're angry, let it out of your system. But eventually we have to accept the fact that I had to accept the fact that there was some signs that I chose to overlook. Doesn't mean my reasons to overlook them weren't legitimate. I believe in trust. When I ask somebody a question, they say, no, I swear I'm not doing anything. I believe them. I was trusting. I believed him. I didn't think this person could ever do something like that. And so, okay, all right. But, that was my choice to trust completely. And it was also my choice to overlook these little signs of infidelity, because I chose to believe the best. Again, my choice, my choice. Okay, so we can't constantly put it on the other person as if we have no control and somebody's dragging us around by life, pulling us by the hair. Okay, you're going to stay here. You're going to do this. You're going to tolerate this. That's not how it is. You got to be an adult and accept responsibility. So about being fair, like I said, it's important to be fair as well, even though my marriage did end because of infidelity. I can still say, even though I think that was a shitty thing that happened, I can still say that he was a very good husband, and I believe that while our children still lived under a roof, that he was a very good father. That's how I see things. That's how it appeared to me. And, he brought a lot of positivity to my life. I believe our love was genuine, and I know it was. And, we had children together. We had lots of good times together. He was very supportive of my writing and pushing me and encouraging me to do what I wanted to do. He, was a great provider. I couldn't have asked for better. I mean, we weren't rich or anything, but I wanted nothing. But then again, I didn't ask for much, just the basics, And so that allowed me to pursue my love of writing and get involved in different things that I got involved in life, like Operation Rescue, things like that, and, some charity work, things like that. And it allowed me to happily live my life. And there was a point in the middle of my marriage, a period of discontent, and looking back, I think he probably cheated on me then too. I don't believe it was just the one time. And so now I can look back and say, okay, that's probably what it was. But once again, I chose. It was my choice. I wasn't happy during one particular period in the middle of my marriage. It lasted maybe a year and a half, I think it was. And it was a very hurtful time for me because I just really was feeling very unfulfilled emotionally. He just wasn't present. He was there, but he was not there. And, I just knew something was off. And I kept asking him, are you sure you're happy? Everything's all right? Just that connection was gone. Well, now I know, I shouldn't say I know, I suspect now that I know that he did cheat on me before. And I had reason to believe now that he did then as well. Well, of course there's going to be a disconnect, because when your mind and heart and emotions are with someone else, they're not going to be on your partner, They're going to notice the difference. So, that's one thing, guys and gals, is listen to your heart, that little inner voice, but know the difference between your own fears, because of how past people have treated you, and what is legitimate. So sometimes we have to work our way through that. But my point is, I still see, and now, a couple months ago, my ex-husband, the father of my 2 children, we were married 25 years, he passed away very unexpectedly, and it was very hurtful. I grieved, I mourned, it hurt, because this was a person who I loved, and, spent 25 years of my life with. I grew up with him, basically. He was a little older than me. He was 9 years older, and he had more maturity and life experience. He had traveled the world and lived in some exotic places, and I was a small town girl, and I was 24 when we met, 25 when we married. I had my first child at 25, next child at 26, and I was a very immature 24, and very immature. I thought, of course, then you couldn't tell me that, but now looking back, I realize I was really naive. I just didn't know the ways of the world, and but he really took care of me, and so we had there was obviously an emotional attachment there, a deep emotional attachment, and uh, I loved him then. I still love him now. Now, I can honestly say that, and that's no disrespect to Colin, my, well, we'll say fiance, of 5 years. No, he wasn't my fiance for 5 years. We've been together for 5 years, and but he is now my fiance. Anyway, okay. Now that we got that straightened out, that's no disrespect to Colin, because Colin in the past was married briefly as well for less than a year. Infidelity also touched his marriage, and that was, why that ended as well. And this is no disrespect to Colin, because we both realized, okay, we've lived, we've loved, and life goes on. And when you especially in a situation like mine, this was not 1 year, this wasn't a couple weeks or months or 1 year, or 1 or 2 years. This was 25 years. This was a long time. And when you really love, when I made the decision for us to marry, my ex-husband, I'm saying, I married out of love. And that, just because there was infidelity, doesn't mean that boom, all of a sudden the love disappears. It just goes into a different form when okay, you've been betrayed, that person didn't have that high level as I did, and when you've moved on with your life, eventually you start dating again, and eventually you start getting in another relationship, so you find a proper place for that love. It was the love that I still have from now. It is a Christian love. It is a brotherly, sisterly love, like a brother of Christ, sister of Christ. It is that you just want what's best for that person. You don't want to see any pain come to them or suffering. It's not about feeling, having any yearning or sexual feelings for them or romantic feelings. It's just about still loving from a pure love, because if you loved before, you still have that now. Like I said, but that shouldn't be a threat to any healthy relationship, because it's just about putting things in their proper order, and like I said, that is no disrespect to Colin. My romantic love, my sexual love is for Colin, as well as the brotherly, sisterly, friendship, all those good things that love encompasses, so like I said, it's important when you've been in a relationship and it doesn't work out, when you're trashing that person, as so many people do, be fair and realize that there was good things, because otherwise people are going to look at you when you're rattling off all the negative. They're going to think, well then, then you must be an idiot too if you stayed with him after all that. So he did all that to you and you still stayed with him? Really? Like I said, we all have our reasons why we stay, until that last needle on the haystack breaks us, We all have our reasons. Nobody's condemning you, but at least be fair. So as I tell people, no, I was actually pretty happy in my past marriage, and it ended because of infidelity. I said he was actually a really good father and all that. I don't like what he did, the bad stuff. But he was a good man, and that's it. I'm not going to disrespect him. I'm not going to sit there when he was good to me. He never laid a hand on me, never called me a bad name, never swore at me, took very good care of me, always opened the door for me, was always a gentleman. I have so much positive I could say about him. Was good to our children, was a very good father, loving. Was very good to me, took care of me, good provider. I said all that. I'm just saying, so why would I completely erase all that, blot out of that from my life, and just to focus on some of the negative, a little bit of the negative? Yes, it ended my marriage, but I'm not going to erase all that good, all those experiences, all those positive experiences, So be fair, guys. Be fair. be mature enough to admit it wasn't all the other person's fault. Even though the other person might have pushed you away from them through their bad behaviors and caused the disintegration of the relationship, it was still you who chose to tolerate them for as long as you did. And it's okay to say, to admit to people that, yeah, I made mistakes too. I shouldn't have stayed as long as I stayed. I kind of went into this too blindly. I kind of rushed it, blah, blah, blah. You know, take responsibility, and people will respect you for it. And you look much more credible and, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word at the top of my head right now, but we'll just say legitimate. You know, just, you just look more, oh, I wish I could think of that word. People are more apt to respect you. That's not the right word I'm looking for, but you know what I mean. They're more apt to respect you and say, okay, this is a rational person. She can see both the good and the bad. She's kind of very realistic about it. So, you know, in life we can't erase our past. And, you know, it's all about taking the good with the bad, the sweet with the sour, and just, you know, appreciating the good and, you know, pushing that negative away and putting it in the past where it belongs, and you know, moving on. And well, so that's about it. Doing a lot of yakking today. All right, guys, I'm gonna hop back on my bike. It's a nice day today. I'm here at the park. Just a little tour of where I sit. Anyway, okay, time to hop back on the bike and continue on with my day. And you guys have a great day and continue on in peace and happiness in your own life. All right, guys, peace out.